What's up, guys? Cynthia here from CynthiaWilliamsFitness.com and TheLifestyleNutrition.com, coming to you in full quarantine gear again. No makeup, hair not fixed. Oh, I can't wait to get my hair fixed in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It'll still be in a ponytail, but it'll look decent in a ponytail. And I probably still won't have any makeup on. I never wear makeup at all. I have gotten a few questions on this topic, so I thought I would do a little post on it, on whether to weigh your food cooked versus raw. The second part is, if you use oils to cook, do those calories count? And then the third is about counting calories when eating out with the foods. So I will quickly go through these so that I can hit them all without getting too off on one particular topic. So the raw versus cooked. So it's 50% one, 50% of the other. And let me explain that. So the most accurate way is to cook your food raw before you eat it. Now, if I was doing a bodybuilding competition or something that my aesthetics 100% depended on my calorie counting being as accurate as possible, then I would take the time to do my measuring raw of my foods before I ate them. The issue with that is the time that it takes to measure your food raw every time before you eat it. So for the everyday Joe, which is mostly my clientele and who I deal with, is that feasible? And would I ask them to do that? No, because I already know where we need to focus our time and things, and I'm not trying to make things more difficult or more unappealing to them to develop a healthy lifestyle. And if I'm asking them to measure every meal raw before they eat it, there's no way they're going to stick with that. It's not a lifestyle. It's not sustainable, I don't think. The other side of that is there's studies out there that say cooked food has more calories in it than when it's raw because of chemical changes and composition changes. Like meat, the collagen in the meat thickens so that you can digest it better, which equates to more calories. So there's that side of it. So I always tell my clients to measure the food how you're going to eat it. If you're eating raw broccoli, then measure raw broccoli, because you're getting that water volume of the raw vegetables that contributes to the weight of it when you're eating it. If you're eating steamed broccoli, measure it steamed and eat it that way, because again, you're cooking out some of the water volume when you are cooking it. Same thing with meat. It typically decreases by 25% when you cook it because of the water that you lose in it. So I always say measure it how you're going to eat it and go forth that way. That's a much more doable way of controlling portion sizes and for the average everyday person to measure their food. I'm not an advocate of somebody measuring their food for the rest of their life, but when a client does start with me, I do recommend measuring food initially, and it's so that you can start to visually learn what portion sizes look like. If you measure 4 ounces of chicken or ground beef or turkey or whatever it may be for 6 to 8 weeks, and you're constantly looking at that, visually you start to learn what that looks like. So if I'm eating out or at a party or something like that, I can track my food much more accurately because I can learn visually what portion sizes look like. So that's why we measure food initially when you start. There's some work that you have to do when you start a program to learn new habits and break old habits, and measuring food is one of them. But like I said, that's not something that I expect a client to do the rest of their life. It's just something that you learn, a tool that you pick up and then you utilize and you keep going or using throughout the rest of your life or your program, whatever it may be. Then oils. So yes, if you cook with oils, you have to count those calories. Those calories count. They don't go anywhere. Those oils are absorbed into the food. You may lose a little water volume, like we talked about with meats or vegetables or something like that, but those fats are still there, and you still have to be accountable for those oils when you cook with them, and you should measure your oils when you cook as well, since you do have to account for those calories, especially if you're on a weight loss program. Every calorie counts, and you need to know where those calories are coming from. So I highly recommend, again, measuring out your tablespoons to make sure that it is 2 tablespoons you're using, or 1, or whatever it may be. Now, when you're eating out, there's 2 rules, I guess, that I have my clients use when they do eat out. And I've done a video that explains this in more depth. And you can find that on my YouTube channel. But what it is, so when you're eating out, let's say it's a lasagna, something, a dish where everything's mixed together, like a chicken pot pie, lasagna, spaghetti, something like that, where everything's all combined in the dish. You record it, and then I always say put an extra 30% of calories on to account for the oils, the butters, the things that you don't see or think of that are being used to cook this food. You need to account for those calories as well. If you're eating out at a restaurant and you're eating something from the grill, that grill's getting sprayed with oil or butter, whatever it may be, those are all things that have to be accounted for. When you go out and you're reading a menu and it tells you the calories of that dish, that is not accurate. It is not accurate. It is a average of what the calories are for that dish, because that dish is cooked in their corporate kitchen or wherever it may be. And every dish after that, different locations or different cooks that make it are not using exactly 4 ounces of this and exactly 3 ounces of this and whatever it may be. It's all a give and take, person to person cooking it. So that's just an average. So again, you have to add 30% onto that. If you're eating a meal that's like a steak, potato, and broccoli, for the steak, or for that meal, I just tell my clients to add 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of oil to their calories for that evening, again, to go for the things that the broccoli is being cooked with, the steak is being cooked with on the grill, the potatoes, whatever it may be. There is extra oils, butters, and things being used to cook that in the kitchen that are not accounted for in that calorie count on the menu or listed in the Fitness Pal. You have to add that stuff in. That's why people that eat out regularly have it takes them longer, or it's harder for them to reach their weight loss goals, because there's a lot of calories that are unaccounted for in those meals. When they think that they're doing good, and they are, maybe they're making good choices, you're just not accounting for all the calories. And at the end of the day, it always comes down to calories in versus calories out. And with that said, on all 3 of these, raw versus cooked, the oils, and then eating out, no calorie tracking is 100% accurate. You have to get that in your head. What you're trying to do is your best guesstimate on it. And you want to do your best guesstimate if you're in weight loss, and try to be under the calories that you're burning. If you're in maintenance, you want to try and stay in your range of calories to maintain your goal weight. And then if you're trying to put on weight, which is the one that you have to be the least careful with, I guess you could say, in the realm of increasing calories, because you are trying to put on some weight and put on lean mass versus fat mass. So we're eating whole foods and things like that. You have a little bit more flexibility or give in your calorie counting, because you're trying to be in a surplus and put on some muscle mass during this time. So just keep that in mind. Nothing is 100% accurate. You're just doing your best guesstimate, and you have to track though. If your goal is weight loss, you do have to track, because you need to know what you're consuming so you know how much less to consume to lose weight. And you have to realize you're going to plateau in that weight loss at some point. So if you're not tracking, you didn't track where you started and then where you dropped your calories to, you don't know how to continue to progress and move towards your goals, because you don't have a baseline. So tracking is very, very important. And it also teaches you food. That's why I'm a huge proponent of it. So many people think, oh, it's punishment to track my food. No, that's an excuse. That's BS, honestly. Tracking your food teaches you food. It's a tool to start to learn the nutritional values of food and help you make better choices that stick with you for a lifestyle and are sustainable over time. So if you want to lose weight, you have to put in the work. You got to know the food you're eating, how much, the quality of it, how much you're burning off. All of those numbers are variables that depend on your results depend on that. So don't, all that stuff of, oh, I can't track, it's this, that, and the other. suck it up. If you want to make some, I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but suck it up. If you want to make goals, you have to put in the work, and tracking is part of the work. Tracking and measuring your food is 100% part of the work, because most people, what studies show is like 90% of the people underestimate their food intake, and those same 90% of people overestimate by 50% their activity on a day-by-day basis. So if you're doing a guesstimate and you're not making any progress, then you need to start getting some data. You need to start tracking your info to see where you stand and where your current levels are, so you know how to adapt or progress or modify, whatever it may be, those levels to reach your goals. So just like any other thing in life, guys, you have to measure it at some point. Your job, you get performance reports or productivity or whatever it is, everything is based off that data. And your weight loss, weight gains, physical goals, all that stuff is based off data too. It's no different. So, you have to do the work. You got to get your head in the right space and put the work in. And if you're not in the right space to do it, then don't do it. You have to be willing to do it, just like quitting smoking or something like that. If you're not in the headspace to do it, it's not gonna happen. So when you're ready, do it. And when you're ready, and if you would like some coaching or some help, I'm happy to help. If I'm taking clients at that time, you can shoot me a message, and I will let you know. So I hope this was helpful at least, and it provided a little bit clarity to the mud, maybe not a lot, I don't know. And again, these are my preferences in the way that I approach things with myself and my clients. They are very successful. I know that they work. Again, it may not be 100% accurate, but it's not about being accurate. It's about being consistent, and it works. So, all right, have a good day.